Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. Today I will discuss with you a topic, hybridity and cultural hybridization. In this topic I will also talk about the cultural globalization, migration and the globalization, and is it good or bad. So I will discuss these topics in my lecture. So let's start it from hybridity. You should know that for the most basic sense, the hybridity refers to a mixture. The term originates from biology and was subsequently employed in linguistic and racial theory in the 19th century. Its contemporary uses are scattered across numerous academic disciplines and is a salient in popular culture. Hybridity is used in discourses about race, post colonialism, identity, anti racism, and multiculturalism and globalization. Developed from its root is a biological term. Hybridity is a cross between two separate races, plants, or cultures. A hybrid is something that is mixed, and hybridity is simply mixture. Hybridity is not a new cultural or a historical phenomena. It has been a feature of all civilization since time immemorial, from the Sumerians through the Egyptians, Greeks, and the Romans to the present. Both ancient and modern civilizations have, through trade and conquests, borrowed foreign ideas, philosophies, and sciences, thus producing hybrid cultures and societies. The term hybridity itself is not a modern coinage. It was a common among the Greeks and Romans. So, what does it mean by cultural globalization? Cultural globalization basically refers to the rapid movement of ideas, attitudes, values, meanings, and cultural products across national borders. It refers specifically to idea that there is now a global and common monoculture transmitted and reinforced by the internet. Popular entertainment, transnational marketing of particular brands, and international tourism that transcends local culture, their traditions and lifestyles, and that shapes the perceptions, aspirations, tastes, and everyday activities of people whenever they may live in the world. There is a word migration used here in the culture or in globalization, which is an important aspect of cultural globalization. And in this sense, this process has been going on for several centuries, with languages, religious beliefs, and values being spread by the military conquests, missionary work, and trade. However, in the last 30 years, the process of cultural globalization has dramatically intensified due to technological advances in both transportation and communications technology. The globalization of food is one of the most obvious example of cultural globalization. Food consumption is an important aspect of culture, and most societies around the world have diets that are unique to them. However, the cultural globalization of food has been promoted by fast food giants such as McDonald's, Coca Cola, and Starbucks. The spread of these global food corporations has arguably led to the decline of local diets and eating traditions. The globalization of sport is also another fairly obvious example of cultural globalization. Think of all the international sporting events that take place, most notably the World Cup and the Olympics in Formula One, which band millions together in a shared, truly global leisure experience. Let's talk about the cultural hybridization. Cultural hybridization basically refers to the mixing of Asian, African, American, the European cultures. Hybridization is the making of global culture, is a global melange. The very process of hybridization shows the difference to be relevant or relative and with a slight shift of perspective. The relationship can also be described in terms of affirmations of similarity. Hybridization is a perspective belongs to the fluid end of relations between cultures. The mixing of cultures and not their separateness is emphasized. At some stage toward the end of the story, the notion of cultural hybridity itself unravels or at least needs reworking. To explore what this means in the context of globalization, the lectures contracts the vocabularies and connotations of globalization is homogenization and globalization is hybridization. Globalization or hybridization makes an empirical case that processes of globalization, past and present, can be adequately described as a process of hybridization. It is a critical argument against viewing globalization in terms of homogenization or modernization. You could say westernization is empirically narrow and historically flat. So, the how does the globalization impact on world culture? Globalization is often exclusively associated with worldwide economic integration and the emergence of a borderless global market. However, globalization also involves sweeping changes on social, cultural, and political terrains. Globalization is not an inclusive or progressive form of internationalism. Rather, it is a successful expansion on a world scale of particular localism of social, economic, and political organization, which are neoliberal and capitalist in character. The mix of material and ideological elements that make this expansion possible makes globalization a hegemonic process. Nor does globalization create or encourage economic freedom, opportunities, and choice at all levels. Rather, it is more akin to a monoculture of ideas, politics, and economic model. The major consequences of globalization is that the transmogratification of traditional religions and belief system, the beginning of the disintegration of the traditional social fabrics and shared norms by uh, by cyber culture, new religions, and changing work ethics and work rhythms. The fast spreading economy, an ever increasing number of individuals to fall back upon the easily accessible pretensions, religious and attributing to religion the creation and acceleration of extremist, fundamental and terrorist tendencies in the third world countries. To sum up, culture is a way of human life, is constantly undergoing changes. Certain developments in modern times have helped to accelerate this process of changing in exponential manner, involving two major consequences. One of them is the reduction in cultural diversity, and the next consequence is the increasing hegemonic control in the name of free trade and freedom of communication at all levels. So, are we losing our culture due to globalization? This is a question maybe in your mind, that cultural identity is established on the core values shared on unliving societies. These values include languages, dressing style, way of talking, habits, and many others. 21st century is a century of globalization, where all the societies with different culture live together. Mostly Western civilization is a sweeping away the traditions and culture of society, effecting changes in the behavior and thinking of people of different society. It is understood that a culture lose seems too apparent in some communities, where the main culture is weak. Many think that if this trend keeps going on, global diversity of cultural identity will be lost forever. Societies think globalization is a big threat, as the young generation is sweeping away with different cultures, mostly adopting the culture of Western style, which unfortunately worry the societies, as they think that it will affect their culture, and also wouldn't take time in the disappearance of their cultures and values they are following currently. If I ask you a question, that is a globalization good or bad, what will be your response? But let me discuss with you that whichever way you look at it, globalization is not a novel idea. It's been around for millennia. Merchants of old traveled the globe to find commodities during those times were rare, like gold, spices, and salt, that they could sell for high prices. The Industrial Revolution of the 19th century brought about developments in transportation and communication, increasing trade across borders and opening or removing borders in many places. But in recent times, business expansions became the impetus for the unprecedented growth of globalization. There are different benefits of globalization. For many people, globalization is a beneficial process. Like Nobel Prize winner Amartya Sen, he is an economist, and said that globalization brought economic benefits to many people and provided cultural and scientific enrichment worldwide. The United Nations predicted that poverty could be eradicated in the 21st century due to globalization. Globalization has many benefits, and some of the more important ones are here, like globalization comprises the integration of cultures, information technology, investment, and international trade. Several countries created government policies to help open their economies internationally and domestically, with the objective of boosting the development in emerging and poor countries, so that can lift their standards of living. Corporations acquire a competitive advantage through globalization. It helps them lower their cost of operation. They are able to open new markets and earn access to other raw materials. They are able to buy, to sell, and manufacture goods around the world. Governments worldwide incorporate free market economic system due to due to foreign trade agreements and their economic policies. The new system has brought international financial opportunities and industrialization. They have become more open to international trade by removing many of the barriers that used to make trading with foreign countries different. Globalization has increased awareness among global customers of different opportunities for investment, economic trends, and new products. The development of information and communication technologies helps facilitate awareness of these opportunities. Technology likewise made the transmission and channeling of financial assets quicker and simpler. There are different disadvantages of globalization. Like globalization is a threat to national and local economies. Global companies coming into emerging and developing nations have the tendency to impose their ways, practices, and culture onto the target nations. They can take advantage of the situation to engage in wage wars. It can lead to the implementations of foreign concepts and ideas in countries where Islamic culture dominates, and other countries with different practices and beliefs. Imposing Western culture and ideas could be detrimental. In some cases, it can lead to the question of national identity. Although globalization exposes other languages to more people, it can also cause some minority languages to disappear. Since most global companies speak major languages such as the English, German, French, or Spanish, speakers of the minority languages have no choice but to abandon their native tongues and learn the widely spoken languages used in businesses. As more cities, communities, and countries become industrialized due to globalization, it also brought about the loss of biodiversity, growth of the local population, and climate changes as well. I think so. These were the disadvantages of globalization. I think that's enough for today. Thank you so much for watching my video lecture. Kindly subscribe my channel because I will upload the new video lectures in coming future. Thank you once again and best of luck.